Well, hello, and welcome back to episode 2, where we're still continuing our conversation on resolutions that get results. Today, we're going to be chatting a bit about breaking free from external pressures and setting goals that truly align with what matters most. I'm the integrative counselor, where we integrate mind, body, and beyond, exploring the art and science of holistic wellness. My name is Julie, and I am your host today. I am a counselor who is passionate about helping you cultivate a life that feels aligned, intentional, and fulfilling. Throughout the podcast, we'll dive into meaningful conversations about mental health, personal growth, and the powerful connection between the mind, body, and spirits. Episodes will offer practical insights, guest speakers, and relatable stories to support you on your journey to wellness. So if you're not on the move and it's safe to do so, pour yourself a warm cup of tea, coffee, or whatever soothes your soul, and let's dive in. A gentle reminder before we begin: the resources shared in this podcast are for educational and self help purposes only. They do not substitute for professional therapy, counseling, or medical advice. Everyone's journey is so unique, so please explore what feels supportive and aligned for you. If you're experiencing any distress, don't hesitate to reach out to a qualified mental health professional. You are not alone, and help is available. Before we dive in, let's take a moment to arrive fully, to transition from whatever has been occupying your mind today, and to step into this space with openness and intention. If you're driving, just simply focus on your breath, letting it anchor you in the here and the now. But if you're in a safe space to do so, I invite you to gently close your eyes if that feels comfortable for you. Begin by taking a slow, deep breath in through your nose, feeling it expand within you, filling your lungs, creating space, and then gently exhaling fully, releasing any tension or distractions from the day. Bringing awareness to your body, perhaps noticing where you might be holding on to stress. Maybe it's in your shoulders, your jaw, your chest, without judgment, simply observing. And on your next inhale and exhale, imagining that tension softening and melting away with each continued breath. Taking another inhale in, inviting clarity, ease, and presence, and exhaling, releasing what no longer serves you, letting go of any stress, any mental noise, or anything that might keep you from being fully here. As you settle in, I invite you to open yourself to today's conversation. Whatever resonates, let it sink in. Whatever doesn't, simply let it pass. This is your time, your space, and your journey. Let's begin. So last week we explored why so many resolutions fall apart before February even arrives. We talked about one of the biggest culprits: lack of a clear plan. And in that we covered SMART goals, how to set them with structure. We covered implementation intentions and the science of following through. We also chatted about habit stacking, a simple way to make new habits effortless. If you missed it, I encourage you to go back and listen. It lays a foundation for what will be in today's discussion. But today, we're now shifting our focus to something just as important: why we set goals in the first place. Because sometimes we chase goals that actually don't fulfill us. So let me ask you something. Have you ever set a goal because you felt like you should? Maybe you started a fitness routine because social media made you feel like you should look a certain way. Maybe you pursued a career path because your family expected it, even though it didn't really excite you. Or perhaps you signed up for something, a self improvement challenge, a new habit, because it seemed like everyone else was doing it. This is what we call external motivation, when our goals come from outside pressures instead of a deep personal desire. And while external motivation might get us started, It's rarely enough to sustain long term change. In fact, when we chase goals that don't align with who we truly are, we often feel disconnected, unfulfilled, and even resentful. That's because there's a big difference between external versus internal motivation. And understanding this difference can change the way that we approach our goals altogether. So, external motivation comes from outside influences, things like societal expectations, family pressure, or wanting to impress others. Their goals that are driven by external motivation often feel like obligations rather than choices. Whereas internal motivation, on the other hand, it comes from within. It's fueled by our values, emotions, and what genuinely makes us feel good. Think of it this way: external motivation feels like a push, something we force ourselves to do, where internal motivation feels like a pull, something we want to do because it aligns with who we are and what we care about. And I get it because I've been there. I know what it's like to follow a path simply because it felt like the right thing to do, even when it wasn't right for me. So let me share a little personal story with you, because I think so many of us at some point have made choices based on what we think we should do rather than what truly lights us up inside. For me, that moment started right after high school. Like so many others, I felt this pressure, this unspoken expectation that I had to go straight off into college or university. This taking time to figure things out wasn't really an option for me. And let's be honest, the idea of not going to school right away, well, that felt like it would look bad, like I would be falling behind and I would be judged for it. So I did what I thought I was supposed to do. I enrolled in business college. Now, don't get me wrong, business is a great field, but it wasn't my field. It wasn't something I was particularly passionate about. And sure enough, after just one semester, I found myself completely disconnected, uninspired, and unmotivated. So I did something that at the time felt like a failure. I dropped out and never looked back. Now, fast forward to my late 40s. After years of staying home to raise my kiddos, pouring my energy into my family, I suddenly found myself in this new stage of life. My kids were getting older, becoming more independent, and for the first time in a long time, I had something I hadn't had in so many years. I had time. And with that time came a feeling, a deep internal pull, one that I could no longer ignore. I started to feel this desire to do something for me, just for me, not because I had to, not because anyone expected me to, but because my soul was calling me to reconnect with something I had always been passionate about: mental health, helping others, and supporting people through the struggles I knew all too well because I had walked through them myself. So cue a glass of wine and perhaps a late night Google search, and the next thing I knew, I was registering for a social worker program at a local college. And now, 4 years later, here I am, completing my bachelor's degree and thesis in counseling psychology. Has it been easy? No, not at all. Have there been moments of doubt? Absolutely. But the difference this time, I never once questioned whether it was worth it. Because this time I wasn't chasing a goal just to check a box or to meet an expectation. I was doing it because it was who I am. And that's the difference. This is what true internal motivation feels like. And that's why I wanted to share this with you today. Because when we follow the path that's meant for us, when we pursue what truly matters, motivation doesn't feel like something we have to force. It fuels itself. So if you've been feeling stuck, questioning your goals, or wondering why something feels like a struggle, I invite you to ask yourself, am I doing this for me? Or am I doing it because I think I should? Because when your motivation comes from within, you will always find a way forward. And that's exactly why this experience had felt differently for me. This time I wasn't forcing myself down a path that didn't excite me or following what I thought I should do. I was making choices that truly aligned with who I am. And because of that, I stayed committed, even through the challenges. But this isn't just my experience. It's actually backed by science. Researchers have spent years studying what truly drives long term motivation, and they found that it's not just about willpower or discipline. Instead, it comes down to three essential psychological needs that determine whether we stay committed to a goal or not. Psychologists Edward Deci and Richard Ryan developed a framework called the self determination theory, which explains exactly why some goals feel exciting and fulfilling while others feel like a chore. According to the self determination theory, we need three essential ingredients to feel genuinely committed to a goal. First is autonomy, the power of choice. Second is competence, the belief that we can succeed. And third is relatedness, the need for connection and for purpose. Let's break these down one by one. So, the first one, autonomy, the power of choice. You know that feeling when you're working towards something, but deep down, it doesn't feel like your choice. Maybe it's a diet, a career move, or even a morning routine that everyone swears by, but something about it just feels off for you. That's because when a goal feels forced, when we're doing it because society, family, or social media tells us we should, we naturally resist it. It starts to feel like a chore rather than something meaningful. But when a goal feels like our own decision, something we truly want, we're far more likely to stick with it. So imagine you decide you want to eat healthier. If you're doing it because you want more energy, to feel stronger, or to nourish your body, that's autonomy. That's self ownership. But if you're dieting because you feel pressured by external sources, whether it's social media trends, family expectations, or just trying to meet some societal beauty standard, it's going to get frustrating and restrictive and feel ultimately unsustainable. Why does this matter? Why should we care about this? Because when we own our choices, we feel in control of our lives. And that sense of control fuels that long term commitment. So ask yourself, did I set this goal because I truly want to, or because I feel like I should? If it's because you felt that outside pressure, then take a moment to simply pause, reconnect with what you actually desire, and adjust if needed. When your choices align with your values, everything begins to shift. So let's chat about the second essential ingredient involved in the self determination theory. That is competence, the belief that we can succeed. So, have you ever set a goal so big and overwhelming that you gave up before you even started? Well, I know I have many, many times, so you are not alone. But here's the thing, confidence isn't something you're born with, it's something you build, it's a skill. When we don't feel capable, we often check out before we even try. We convince ourselves it's just not worth it, that we're just not good enough. But when we believe that we can succeed, everything shifts, everything changes. We begin to stay engaged and we take action and we start seeing results. For example, let's say you set a goal to run a marathon. Sounds exciting, right? Well, maybe not for all of you. But if you've never run before, it can feel absolutely terrifying. You might start doubting yourself, thinking, "Ooh, there's no way I can do this." But let's reframe that approach. What if instead of aiming for a full marathon right away, you started with something perhaps a little more realistic, like running for 5 minutes a day, just to start? That small shift can remove that pressure. And as you build stamina, your confidence grows and you can begin to build that out and expand that goal. And this matters because success builds confidence, and confidence, it fuels motivation. Every small win will remind you that, yes, you can do this. So think about your current resolution or goal. Does this goal feel achievable for you right now? And if it doesn't, how can you break it down into smaller wins? Because progress isn't about massive leaps, it's about small, consistent steps forward. And let's now finally chat about the last ingredient for the self determination theory, and that's relatedness, the need for connection and for purpose. This is a why behind your goals, not just a surface level reason, but the deeper connection behind them. So when a goal feels isolating or disconnected from what truly matters to us, the motivation begins to fade. We lose interest, we start to procrastinate, and we eventually give up. But when we see how a goal can enrich our life and the relationships around us, it starts to feel worth it. It becomes something we want to do, not something we feel we should do. So instead of saying, well, I should work out because I want to look good, try and shifting that focus to something perhaps more meaningful. I want to be active so I can do fun activities with my friends, my kids, if you have them, and just have more energy for adventures and feel strong in my body. That subtle change, that shift in perspective, can make a world of difference. It connects the goal to something deeply fulfilling: your health, your relationships, and your overall well being. And this matters because when we see how our goals contribute to our life in a meaningful way, they stop feeling like chores and they start feeling like choices. They become a part of who we are rather than something we're forcing ourselves to do. So, reflecting on your goal, does it align with what truly matters to you? And how does it positively impact your life and the others around you that you care so much about? If you're struggling with motivation, go deeper. Find the connection. When goals are linked to something that fills you with purpose, showing up for them becomes second nature. Motivation isn't just about willpower, it's about alignment. When our goals are rooted in autonomy, competence, and relatedness, they feel more natural, fulfilling, and sustainable. So as you move forward, take a moment to reconnect with your goals and ask yourself, is this something I truly want? Do I feel capable of achieving this? And how does this connect to what matters most in my life? Because when your goals align with you, everything else simply falls into place. So, we've talked about how external pressures often shape our goals and why self determination is the key to motivation based on science. But what happens when we struggle to stay motivated, even when our goals do feel aligned? The answer lies in dopamine, the brain's motivation molecule. You might have heard of dopamine as a pleasure hormone, but it's actually so much more than that. It's responsible for anticipation, drive, and the willingness to take action. So here's something fascinating. Research shows us that we get a dopamine spike not after achieving a goal, but before it. It's when we anticipate progress and movement. This means that motivation thrives when we focus on progress, not just the results. So think about the last time you stayed motivated towards a goal. Chances are it wasn't because of some massive milestone you had just reached, but because you could see and feel your progress. A study found that when people track their progress, no matter how small, their brain releases dopamine, reinforcing that motivation to continue to propel them forward. Every small step forward triggers that dopamine response, which makes you want to keep going. So, how do we use this to our advantage? Well, we set small, achievable goals that can activate that dopamine and keep us engaged. So, perhaps instead of setting a big, vague goal like, I want to be healthier, we can break it down into little micro wins. Perhaps, I want to drink one extra glass of water today. Or instead of, I want to exercise more, maybe we can say, I will stretch for 5 minutes after waking up. And why does this work for us? Well, it works because each of these mini wins trigger a dopamine response, which reinforces a habit and it makes you feel accomplished, even if it's the smallest thing that you've done. And before reaching that final goal, we start having all this movement forward, all these little reinforcements. And when you focus on those micro wins instead of the end result, that motivation becomes sustainable because you're constantly reinforcing the progress. So now we know that motivation is fueled by small, consistent wins rather than waiting for some big achievement. How do we ensure that those goals we're working towards are truly ours and not just something that we feel obligated to pursue, like those external motivators that we were talking about? Well, we can take a look at whether our goals are aligned with things that matter to us. So, we've talked about how motivation is fueled by small, consistent wins rather than waiting for big achievements. But even with the best habits, strategies, and goal setting tools, there's one crucial piece that determines whether we stay committed in the long run. And that is, do our goals actually align with what we truly value? So, because here's the thing, many of us set goals at some point that look great on paper. Maybe it was a high paying career, a fitness goal, or even a life milestone we thought we should reach by a certain age. But somewhere along the way, we hit resistance, the motivation faded, and instead of feeling fulfilled, we felt drained, uninspired, and resentful. So, when a goal feels off, it's usually because we're out of alignment with our core values, the deeply held beliefs that guide our decisions, behaviors, and sense of purpose. Our core values are like our internal compass. They shape the way that we move through life, the choices we make, and what truly brings us fulfillment. When we set goals that honor these values, they feel energizing, meaningful, and natural. But when our goals contradict our values, no amount of external motivation will make them feel right. So let's break down this with an example. So imagine we have two people that set the same goal. They each want to earn a six-figure income. Person A deeply values freedom. That is a core value for them. They thrive on flexibility, creativity, and autonomy. But their high paying job demands long hours, rigid schedules, and endless demands. Over time, they start to feel exhausted and disconnected from what matters most to them, which is their core value of freedom. The money is there, but the fulfillment is not. Now let's switch to person B. They value security. So they value having a stable income, a predictable routine, and a strong financial foundation. That's what gives them the peace of mind. So for them, that six-figure goal is deeply motivating because it provides exactly what they value most. The goal itself isn't the problem. It's whether or not it aligns with what truly matters. So, what is a way that you can identify and align those goals with your core values? It's to make sure your goals support, not sabotage your well being. So, take a moment to reflect. If you're in a space that you can grab a pen and paper, absolutely do so. If not, you can come back to this later. Think about or write down five values that matter most to you. Perhaps that's creativity, connection, adventure, stability, authenticity, balance, whatever that is for you. Look at your current goal. Does this support or conflict with these values that mean the most to you? If it aligns, that's a strong sign you're on the right path. If it conflicts, then maybe you need to take a moment to ask yourself, is this goal something I truly want? Or is it coming from external expectations? When a goal aligns with your values, they fuel that intrinsic motivation, that deep internal drive that keeps you going forward. They feel energizing and fulfilling rather than forced and draining. You don't have to rely on willpower alone. Commitment just comes naturally. But when your goals go against your values, they feel like a chore, like something you have to push yourself to just to stay on track. You might feel disconnected or unfulfilled, even if you achieve the goal. Procrastination, self sabotage, and burnout often follow. So, when your goals align with your values, everything shifts. You can feel it internally. The motivation doesn't have to be forced, it's something that comes naturally. But even when your goal feels aligned, sometimes you still might stay struggled to be committed to it. And why does this happen for us? Well, because and beyond those values, we also need clarity. We might think we know what we want, but often our initial reason barely scratches the surface. This is where the why test comes in. This is a simple but powerful exercise that helps you uncover your true motivation, the deeper reason behind your goal. And once you find that, it becomes much easier to stay focused, committed, and resilient, even when the obstacles arise. Let's break that down. So, the why test is a powerful exercise to uncover your true motivation for any goal. It allows you to refine it or shift it based on what's needed. So, here's the truth: the stronger your why, the more resilient you'll be when the obstacles arise. The clearer your why, the easier it is for you to stay motivated without relying on willpower alone. So, this exercise was inspired by Sakine Toyota, the founder of Toyota Industries, who developed the five whys technique to get to the root of the problem. Over time, this method has now been adapted for personal growth and goal setting, helping people uncover their deepest motivations. And here's how it works. So, if you're in a space to do so, write down your goal or simply think about the goal that you've set for yourself. And now begin to go deeper, asking yourself, why do I want this? Then ask yourself, why is this so important to me? Keep asking those whys until you get to the real core of your motivation. So, for example, say you want to lose 10 pounds. Ask yourself why. Well, because I want to look better. But why is that important? Because, well, I want to feel confident. But why is confidence so important to you? Well, because I want to stop hiding and fully express myself. See the shift? So instead of focusing on the weight loss, which can be influenced by external pressures, the real goal, the real root, was confidence, which can be achieved in several different ways, such as self love, body acceptance, or strength training. So today, ask yourself, why? So now that you've uncovered the deeper motivation behind your goal, let's take this one step further. Understanding your why is powerful, but truly connecting with it, feeling it in your body, seeing it in your mind is what brings it to life. Let's shift from thinking about your goal to truly experiencing it. I want you to visualize yourself stepping into that future version of you, the one that has already achieved what you're working towards. Let's begin this guided visualization to help you embody your motivation and anchor it deep within. If you're driving or moving, perhaps this might not be the time to set in with this visualization. If you're in a safe space to do so, then by all means get comfortable and we'll begin. Begin by gently closing your eyes if you're comfortable, or just by finding a space in the distance. Taking a deep breath in, holding for a moment, and slowly exhaling. I want you to imagine yourself 1 year from now. You've reached your goal, not just the outcome, but the feeling of accomplishment deep within you. What are you doing? What's different? Notice how your body feels, the energy, the confidence, the sense of fulfillment. Now ask yourself, what did I focus on to make this happen? What small steps got me here? Let yourself fully step into this version of you, the one who showed up, who made choices from a place of alignment, and who followed what truly mattered to them. Taking another deep breath in, and as you exhale, anchor that feeling in your body. Know that this version of you already exists within you. It's simply a matter of stepping toward it, one choice at a time. And when you're ready, gently bringing your awareness back to the present moment, wiggling your fingers, perhaps taking another deep breath in and exhaling. And if your eyes are closed, slowly opening them. You have everything you need within you. All right. So, a final recap and what's coming up. Thank you for hanging in with me today. I hope that you found something that resonated with you. If not, well, stay tuned. Perhaps you will in the next episode. So, today we explored how core values influence motivation. We chatted about the science of dopamine and why small wins matter. We talked about the power of identity, internal based goal setting, And we did a personal reflection on external versus internal motivation. And we ended with a guided visualization to reconnect with your true why. So, on our next episode coming up, we're still staying with the resolutions that gets results theme, and we're going to be focusing on habits, not just the outcomes. So, why fixating on the end result can actually slow your progress. We're going to talk about the growth mindset theory and how this can shift frustration into motivation. We're going to be sharing actionable strategies together to help us stay consistent without perfectionism. And if today's episode resonated with you, I would love for you to share it or leave a review. Until next time, my friends, stay intentional and stay aligned.